Hello, everyone. Before we begin, please let me know whether you can see and hear me well. Please put pluses in the chat. If the sound is fine and if the video is working all right, could you please write in the chat? All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm seeing many pluses. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for spending this Saturday morning with Libra Terra Publishing House. So today's topic is related to teaching test preparation classes. It was interesting for me to read your answers to the questions I had in the registration form. So you were writing about different resources that you use when you are preparing for the test, when you are preparing, helping your students to prepare. Also, many of you mentioned that many of your students lack motivation and interest during these classes. So hopefully during this webinar today, you will get some new ideas as to how to prepare your students for this test in a better way, in a more effective way, and also how to make these classes more interesting for your teenagers. And by the way, the information I'll be giving today is not related only to ZNO. So if you are a private tutor, maybe you are preparing your students for some other language exams, this information will also be very helpful for you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for writing in the chat. So this slide reminds us that spring is finally here. Although when I look outside my window today, I see it feels more like winter actually for me, you know, because it's quite rainy and chilly. I don't know which cities you are from. You're welcome to write in the chat where are you from today. And also maybe write in the chat whether you are teaching ZNO preparation classes, because spring for many teachers means time when you are actively working on test preparation. So are any of you working on test preparation at the moment? Please put plus maybe, or write the name of the test you are working on at the moment. Is it ZNO or maybe some other kind of test? I see pluses. Yeah, so I see teachers who are actually doing this work at the moment. Okay, ZNO preparation, ZNO tests. Thank you. Thank you. So I think this webinar will be quite relevant for all of you. I don't know about you, but for me, test preparation classes have always been rather difficult to teach. I think in my head, I always had this distinction that there is a regular English class and then there is a test preparation class. I think that testing does have a lot of influence on how we teach our students. And I think both students and teachers, they feel a lot of pressure. We are often concentrating on different tricks and tips we can share with our students because we hope they will get the high score on the test. But especially when it comes closer to the test, I think we often concentrate maybe too much on direct test preparation and we forget about the skills development very often. And as a result, our students may get quite tired and maybe lose interest in these classes. So for me, this test preparation class is always a challenge. So that's why I decided to create this webinar, maybe to share some ideas as to how to make it more effective, you know, and more meaningful for our learners. And as many of you, I have been working as an English teacher for many years, and during my career, I was teaching various test preparation classes. And when I was a teenager myself, you know, at the age of 16, I had this opportunity to pass a TOEFL test, and on this slide, I have shared the picture of my worried face right before this testing. So now when I'm preparing my students for the test, I remember myself, you know, in the similar situation, so I can very much relate to how maybe worried and stressed they feel at this time. And of course, this year has had some additional challenges for teachers and students and parents because of the global pandemic. And of course, it adds additional stress because the situation keeps changing, as you're probably aware. So I think especially nowadays, the topic of test preparation is quite relevant for all of us. So this is a short plan of what we are going to do today. At first, I will talk about the meaning of activity that we can call meaningful, and why do we need to use these activities, and then I'll give you some practical ideas as to how to add some meaningful activities to your regular test preparation classes. Then at the very end, you'll have a chance to ask some questions. I'll be happy to answer them. And at the very end, we will have a special gift for all of you to say thank you for participating in the webinar. So please stay until the very end, be active, and I hope it will be interesting and productive. And before I begin the presentation, I want to stress that today I'm not going to tell you what is the best way to prepare students for ZNO or any kind of test. First of all, because I don't think there is just one good way, to do it. Usually it's about the combination of different methods, resources, techniques, and your circumstances are quite different and your students' needs are very different. So it's very hard, to find this one recipe that is going to fit everybody. So perhaps during this webinar, you will hear some ideas from me and you will find out that you are already doing them in your work. So I think it will just be a reassurance for you that, okay, you're doing a good job. And for some of you, perhaps you will learn something new, I hope. And during this webinar, I will be using the texts and tasks from the book that I had the privilege to write, and it was just recently published by Libra Terra Publishing House, specifically the first book on ZNO preparation. So now I'd like to ask you, have any of you used these books in your work, or have you got acquainted with these books? Have you seen them? Please put pluses if some of you or maybe are using them. Okay, I see pluses and minuses. Plus. No, plus, okay. So those of you who haven't got a chance, to read this book, you will have an opportunity, to know what kind of tasks and texts you can expect to see in this book. And now, since we are talking about language testing, I have a test question for you. Imagine you are a student, and here is a multiple choice question. So what does this phrase mean, to ace a test? You have three options, A, B, and C. So read these options carefully and put your answers in the chat. What do you think this phrase means? Okay. Okay, I see many A answers. Does everybody think A is correct answer? Okay, lots of A's. Okay. I have very smart teachers here. Of course, to ace a test means to receive an excellent grade or to get the highest score on the exam. And of course, our goal as teachers is for our students to ace their tests. Okay, now one more question. This time you have to fill in the blank. So you have a sentence and one word is missing in this sentence. Study to, 3 dots, not just to ace the test. Which word do you think is missing? Here it's more complicated because there are no options. You have to write down your own idea. So one verb is missing. Which verb is missing, do you think? Please write in the chat. Study to do what? Okay, Stana wrote study to pass. Helen wrote study to know. Any other ideas? Study to understand. Okay, Svetlana, nice. Anything else? Maybe some other word? Study to learn, Okay. Any other? Discover, okay, also good. Use in life, Thank you. Learn, okay. Okay, now I'm going to practice. Okay, nice. I think all of your ideas are quite nice, but here's the correct one. So study to learn, not just to ace the test. And this is actually a quote said by famous psychologist, American psychologist Carol Dweck. She's also a professor of psychology in Stanford University. And she's doing research on growth mindset. So why I decided to tell you about this, I think it's very important, before the exam, many students don't feel very confident. Yeah, they have low self-esteem. So I don't know about you, but my students are often asking me, what's the best way to prepare for ZNO? And I was always telling them, you have to have motivation, you need to choose a strategy that works for you, and then you need to practice a lot. So Carol Dweck said this in a similar way, but she used different words. So she said that if you make a lot of efforts, you use good teaching, and you are persistent, then you can achieve success. Of course, not all students have the same abilities, and not all of the students will get the highest score on the test. But if you work hard, you know, the success is very possible. Also, when I'm looking at this quote by Carol Dweck, I remember my own situation. You know, I mentioned earlier that I was passing TOEFL exam in the past, and I was happy, you know, to pass this exam successfully. And then I went to the USA to study for a year because I had the chance to get a scholarship there. And I remember a funny situation that happened to me during the first 2 days in the USA. You know that Americans are very informal people, and they like to smile and talk to strangers. And you know what happened? Like there was one person who approached me on the street, a stranger, and he asked me, "What's up?" And I was stuck, you know, I didn't know how to answer this question. By the way, how would you answer this question? Imagine you are in the same situation and the person you don't know asks you, "What's up?" How do you respond? Do you know? Write your answers in the chat. What would you say? Helen, I'm okay. I'm great. Okay. Juliana, nice. Yeah, all of these are correct answers. You know, you can just repeat the same question as a response. You can say, "What's up?" "Nothing much," "All right," something like that. Okay. Yeah, but you know, at that time, you know, and you have to understand this was a time before internet, you know, became very popular. So yeah, during my classes, I learned the phrases, "How are you?" "How's it going?" maybe, but I've never heard the phrase, "What's up?" And I was thinking to myself, okay, Olha, you have been learning English for so long. Yes, you passed the test successfully, but you cannot answer the simple question, you know. So I think we need to remember this when we are teaching our test preparation classes, that we, of course, we want our students to pass the test, but we also want them to be able to use the language in real life, yeah, after they graduate. So before we talk about any kind of lesson preparation, of course, we need to think about goals. So I want to ask you, when you are teaching test preparation classes, what is your goal? Those of you who are not teaching, think about this hypothetically. What could be your goal? What could be the possible goal when you prepare your students for ZNO or for any other test? Write your answers. What do you want your students to do as a result of your lesson, to achieve, to accomplish? What do you want them to know? What do you think? Okay, Helen wrote to ace a test. Good results. Okay, but the test will happen later, yeah, but how about the lessons that you are doing, yeah, during these lessons? What do you want them to know? Okay, my students understand the materials well, practical usage, listening, get skill in doing tests, very good. Become more confident, yes, that's very important. Revise grammar, vocabulary, Okay, any other ideas? To enrich the vocabulary, to pass a test. Okay, good. All of these are good ideas. And here I put some of the general goals that most of you may have. Of course, your situations are different and the needs of your students may be different. But in general, these are three main tasks, three main objectives. So you want your students to know about the test structure, and you want them to know the types of tasks they will see on the test. Then you want to develop listening, reading, and writing skills, and to review grammar and vocabulary. This is specifically for ZNO testing. Right? Okay, and this work that you are doing during your lessons, it's called, we can call it direct test preparation. And of course, it's very important because as a result, students will get better grades on their test. They are well prepared. They know what to expect. Students will be less anxious. They will know what to expect. They will know how to pace themselves. They will know, for example, about time management during the test, and they will understand what they need to work on. Yeah, they will know their strengths and weaknesses. So this work is quite important. Many of you were asking me or sharing with me in the registration form that you are having problems with specific skills. Yeah, for example, listening, use of English. So here I want to encourage you to check our YouTube channel. I was doing a webinar on listening, yeah, and how to help your students develop specific strategies when doing listening tasks. And then I was sharing different online resources. So just subscribe to our channel, please go there, find this webinar. And there are many other useful resources there as well. So you're welcome to subscribe. As to one more resource that you can suggest to your learners, this one is more for homework. So this is an app that I myself am using for developing my own language skills, and it's called Elevate. You can download it on your phone. And here, of course, it's called like brain training app, but it also trains various academic skills that we need for ZNO. So reading, writing, listening. Why I like this app? Because it gives a very personalized training. So when your learners register on this app, they have to answer certain questions, and then the program every day will provide them a quiz, a language quiz, and it's done in a very fun, gamified way. So I'm sure your students will enjoy, and it will be both fun and meaningful, preparation for the test for them. So you're welcome to download it, to try it for yourself and share it with your learners. Okay, I see somebody wrote that I use it for myself. Okay, Helen, nice. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. I really enjoy this app myself. Okay, now here's a structure of ZNO English as it is right now. And I want you to pay attention that I created this special mind map, to present information about the structure of the test. You're welcome to share this slide with your students. And I also encourage you to develop your own mind maps when working with teenagers. I think many of them are visual learners. So instead of providing maybe a dry information in text, it's always a good idea, to use some kind of visuals. So these are the resources that also would be nice for you to check out. The first two, Crello and Canva, they are graphic editors, free graphic editors online. And with the help of these two programs, you can create so many things, beautiful presentations, infographics, mind maps, posts for social media. The second two are specifically connected to mind mapping, if you're interested in studying those, so Coggle and Meister. Now we are coming closer to studying the activities that we can use during our ZNO classes. So here you see two pictures. Can anybody tell me, can you guess, what kind of classroom activity do these two pictures represent? Do you know, how do we call this activity? Okay, I see drilling. How about the second picture? What is the guy doing? The first one is correct. What about the second one? What is he going to do there in that picture? Yeah, Uliana, you're very close. Okay, Svetlana, very good. So it's killing. I don't know if you've heard about this term, the type of classroom practice. It's better to avoid it, of course. It's called drill and kill. You see the very bored face of a student here. So this is basically any activity where students are not thinking about the meaning of some text. They are just repeating or memorizing some information, separately from everything else that they know. It's not connected to anything meaningful, important, or useful in their life. So this is the opposite of meaningful activity, and we should try to stay away from drill and kill activities as much as possible. On the contrary, meaningful activity, according to the dictionary, meaningful is something you find serious, important, or useful. And why is this important? Well, it's obvious that students who don't find the material interesting, they're not going to engage very fully into the lesson. So have you had this problem with engagement? Please write the pluses. Have you seen these bored faces of students in your classrooms? Yes? I see, yeah, pluses. Yeah, I have the same problem, So what if we ask ourselves, why should I use as a teacher? I should use these activities when preparing my students for ZNO. Then, the obvious answer is that we want our students, of course, to get a good grade on the test, but also to increase their interest. And as a result of this increased interest, their results on tests will improve as well. if we speak in general about meaningful activities, then they will appeal to students' goals and interests. They will somehow be connected to their background knowledge, to something that they already know. And in this way, they will create new associations in their brain, and this new knowledge will go to their long-term memory. So it will not just be a short-term memory. Yeah. So if you study something in September, there is a higher chance that in May they will remember the information if this material was meaningful, important in some way, or interesting. So if we want to appeal to students' interests, of course, we need to know what those interests are. Here I shared an interesting slide about TikTok. If you look at the age groups of TikTok users, you can see that 32% of them are children, actually younger than 19 years old. So are your students TikTok fans? Write in the chat, please. Yes? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is like a global tendency, I think. Yeah, so think about this. How can you connect this, what they like, what they like outside the class? How can you connect it to what you are studying during the lesson? And now, how about these trends? These are all teenage trends for 2021. Can you guess what do they represent? A, B, C? Any guesses? Can you write in the chat? A, I think, is pretty obvious. Different gadgets, good. So the iPhone, I think the new iPhone is supposed to come out in September, and I think many teenagers, are following the news related to new phones very closely. Then how about B? Okay, very nice, Helen. Memes, yeah, and especially about coronavirus this year, about social distancing, online studies, but memes in general, yeah, they are a big trend. How about C? Does anybody know what is C? Okay, Svetlana, very nice. The game Among Us, and I don't know if you have heard about it, but it was the most popular game, I think, of 2020, mobile game, and it's an equivalent of Mafia game. Yeah, so this year, I think there should be a new edition of this game, so it continues to be a big trend among teenagers. So I just gave you a couple of ideas, and of course, you know your students better than I do know them. So you are welcome to just show interest, be curious. What are your students interested in? And use this knowledge to your advantage, to make your classes more meaningful. So I think if you give them what they like, of course, you have to use common sense here. I'm not saying you have to play mobile games during the whole lesson, but maybe as a bonus at the end, you can find some opportunity, to give them really what they want, what they like. Then you also need to think about what will happen to your students after they graduate from school, after when they go to college or university, and then when they become employees, when they start working. So here's the list of skills. It was just recently updated by World Economic Forum. What kind of skills the employers will expect from employees in 2025. And if you do the mathematics, you will see that children who are graduating today, they will be needing these skills in 2025. So you can pay attention that, for example, 5 of these skills are connected to problem solving. So if you can, during your lessons, in any way, to provide these opportunities for your students to do the problem solving activity, or using technology, or being creative, original. So this all will prepare them for their future careers, for the successful life in future. So any kind of project, yes, that students feel that they may use in their education while studying at the university, or when starting to work, will always be a good idea to use. Now another test question for you. Here you have 2 pictures, 2 men. They obviously look very different. So does anybody know who they are? If not, maybe you can guess about their professions. What are their jobs, do you think? Study the pictures and please let me know in the chat. I see the correct answer. Scientist and Tesla, both of you are correct. Okay, how about the second picture? Tesla, good. pilot, you think? Okay, Helen wrote blogger, very good. Maybe somebody knows Daredevil, interesting. So blogger is correct. Does anybody know his name? Blogger, okay, so you have seen him maybe somewhere. No, not yet, okay. Now the second set of pictures, it's number 1, number 2. Any ideas what this is? What does it look like? What does it remind you? Second, Tesla car, okay. How about the first? What does it look like? The first picture, Tesla car, superhero, okay, interesting. Iron Man, cool. Ninjago, okay. Okay, and now how are these two pictures connected to the pictures of these two men, do you think? Is there any relation? Yeah, Tesla, okay. Yeah, who wrote this? Victoria is correct. So the company, Elon Musk's company, Tesla Motors, used the name of famous scientist Nikola Tesla to start a company. And the blogger is named PewDiePie. And just recently he received a special award from YouTube for reaching over 100 million subscribers. So you do this task before you study the text on famous people. That's just an example how you can do it. Yeah, so you find something that maybe your students are interested in. You know, this text is about the blogger. So you try to make them talk, you know, before you start doing the actual task. And then they will do the reading and the use of English task. It will be more meaningful for them because they understand, oh, that's interesting. I want to know more about this man, or maybe I already know a lot, so I want to read this text. You see how you can make it very easy activity with pictures that you can do. Another activity that can be done with pictures is, I call it 3-2-1. So you can find an interesting picture that is somehow connected to the reading that you are going to do during the lesson. And you ask your students to analyze this picture, but you see in this interesting way. So you ask them to give you 3 words to answer the question, what do you see in this picture? Then 2 sentences, what do you think when you look at this picture? And then to ask 1 question, what would you ask about this picture? So now I want you just to concentrate on the last one. So imagine you are the student and I give you this picture. What would you ask me about this picture? What could be the question that you could ask me? Can you write in the chat, please, your question to this picture? Is it a space concert hall? Yeah, good question. Where is it taken? Nice. Anything else you want to know? What are your feelings? Maybe what are your feelings when you are looking at this picture? Do you like music? Who is the lady who has taken it? Yeah, all of these are good questions. So the picture does look quite interesting, right? There is something unusual about it. You don't understand. So there is some kind of information gap in this picture. And then you encourage your students to read the text to find out. And in this case, it's a text about a journey to the moon that Elon Musk is planning to do in 2023. He's going to invite some artists, you know, to join one Japanese millionaire, I think, on this journey. Yeah, so there'll be this maybe performance in the future in space. So again, this is connected, you know, maybe to the interest of your students. If your students are interested in technology, in Elon Musk, you know, you can use it, you know, for your advantage during the lesson. Another interesting task is when you ask your students to imagine they are the test creators, you know. So after reading the text, after doing the tasks, you ask them to write their own questions to the text. So here's a text, for example, about Prince Philip, who unfortunately has just died recently, about his life. So let's imagine I'm giving you this task. Write 1 question to this text in the chat. Which question would you write? Just 1 question, write in the chat, please. Okay, I don't see any questions. Where did he spend his childhood? Okay, maybe when was he born? Good. Yeah, there are many things you can ask about because there are a lot of facts in this text about his life. So, okay, when did Philip meet Elizabeth? Also, yeah, good question. So after that, you tell your students to pay their attention that usually the tests are testing them, especially the reading part and listening part as well, you know, they will be tested on names, dates, numbers, and places. So you can highlight in the text, you know, all the names, all the numbers, all the places. Yeah. In this way, students become more aware, you know, what to expect, what kind of questions they will find in the text. They will think about keywords maybe more. So this is also a good activity to do. Okay. Now here's a listening task, and the listening task is about Billie Eilish. So if you have students who love music, again, you can connect it to what is happening in real life right now. So just recently she has won the Grammy Award for the best song of the year. So you can ask your students to share, maybe they've been watching this ceremony, or maybe they want to speak about their favorite song by this artist. And at the end of the lesson, as a bonus, you can give them a song by this artist and ask students to fill in the blanks. So there will be a song. You can use this website, by the way, lyricstraining.com, very nice site, where you can listen to different songs, and then some words will be missing, and your students will have to type in the answers on their phones or on the computer. Another good activity to do and very motivating, I think. Okay, now we move along to the topic of sports. What do you see in these pictures? Can you write down? I know these pictures look a bit unusual. Okay, I give you a hint. It's a sport. Okay, sport. How would you describe the sport? Let's say there are 3 different pictures. So what do you see in the first picture, in the second, in the third? If you had to describe it, which word would you use? Okay, Valentina, she's rolling. Very good. Nice. Tournament, play, active, passive. Okay. So yes, these are all competitions. Toes fighting, battle of toes. Okay, very nice ideas. You are very close. Yeah, chess tournament. So these are unusual sport events that happen in various European countries. The first one is toe wrestling, the second cheese rolling, the third cheese boxing. So before your students read the text on these sports, you show them the pictures, you again create this information gap where they have to critically analyze the pictures, maybe describe the pictures to you, what do they see there, and then they read the text and find out whether their guesses were correct or not. After that, you may also ask your students to be more creative, you know, to create their own sport. So you create special rubrics. What's the name of the sport? Describe the rules, maybe draw the player of a sport. So why not? You know, we want our students to use the vocabulary they learned from the text when, you know, in a different context. So this is a great activity. The same can be done for festivals. You know, in ZNO, very often you have texts about festivals in different countries. I think last year there was this task on ZNO test. So again, you read about festivals in other countries and you ask your students to create their own festivals according to the categories that you choose. Now talking about fitness. So your students do this task on fitness. Here it talks about different aspects of staying fit. And then you, on the board, for example, or on the interactive board, if you are working online, you draw this flower with these 6 aspects and you ask your students to share like maybe what kind of problems with fitness do you experience right now? What would you like to improve? For example, for me, I know right now going offline is a big problem and getting enough sleep. These are my problems that I'm struggling with. How about you, by the way? I think it's springtime. Everybody's thinking about fitness more than usual. So if you could improve maybe one aspect, what would it be? The same? Ludmila wrote the same. Thank you for sharing. But you get the idea, right? Sleeping, maybe a problem for many teachers. Okay, good. So pictures, visuals, also you can work with scrambled sentence strips. So this works especially well with different stories. Like if you have a text that has, you know, a beginning and the main part and the ending, the conclusion. So you could take the first sentences, maybe 7 or 8 sentences from the text, and divide them between the students and ask them to put the text together, right? So let's do this right now. Here we just have 3 strips. So write in the chat the correct order. So you just write the letters. Is it BAC, ABC? What do you think? CBA? What's the correct order here? BAC. Any other? BCA, okay. Okay, any other ideas? BCA, BAC, okay. So I guess everybody agrees that the first sentence is B, but then you have different opinions. So let's see at the actual, let's look at the actual text. So the text is about a girl who wants to study and to be an actress. So you see the first paragraph, and the correct one was BAC. Yes, so at first, yes, she lived in South Africa. Then she found out what was the best drama school, and then the parents rented a flat. Okay. If we're talking about writing, one great idea is to make your students analyze the errors themselves. So you see, like I would underline the mistake, but I wouldn't correct it. I don't know, maybe some of you are already doing this. In the margins, you can maybe write like grammar or spelling, yeah, make some note for a student. But in this way, they'll become more responsible, you know, for their own learning. And because if you just correct a mistake yourself, they will often, you know, don't disregard it. But if they think about this mistake and really try to do it on their own, maybe they will just have this, like own this mistake more, you know, and remember it better. You can also ask them if it's possible for your students to keep a log of their mistakes, you know, the mistakes that they keep doing quite often. That's also very, very helpful. This is a tool that you can use for checking writing. I don't know how you are doing this, but my students often like to send me screenshots. You know, they write something, like handwrite something, and then they send me a picture. And then I use this tool just to edit. So I can add different smileys, I can underline, highlight, and so on. So this is a great tool. If you haven't used it, I also recommend you to check it out. In general, the selection of meaningful activities is so great. So basically, different projects, group work, pair work activities are all very nice ideas to use. So I just gave you a couple of examples, you know, but you are welcome to try different things. And here on the slide, you can see different things, other things you can try. And this is a great idea if you have a lesson, you know, that during the entire lesson you will be doing a test preparation. Yeah, it will be entire test preparation. So you can start with fun activity and end with a fun activity. So a sandwich of fun. So this test preparation is not too boring for students. So I think this is a very nice diagram or, you know, picture to remember the idea. And of course, the biggest issue for you will be to find the right balance, you know, between the test preparation and teaching beyond the test. Because as I said, of course, as it gets closer to the test, we feel more pressure to, you know, to do the direct test preparation, right? But if you have more time, you know, your students, you should try, and because you understand the importance now, you know, because you know that they will remember the information better if it is appealing to them in some way. And we ourselves should remember that really, you know, our focus in education and in test preparation is to develop these skills that students will need after they pass the exam. So the exam is just a stepping stone, yeah, on the way to success. So at this, I think I will end my presentation. Now you're welcome to answer or, sorry, ask any questions that you have. Just write in the chat something related to the webinar today. About certificates, I will talk about certificates. The video will be, you will be able to download this, to watch this video on our YouTube channel. So Libra Terra, look in YouTube for this channel, subscribe to it, and in a couple of days, I will post this video on our YouTube channel. Okay. Okay, the certificates you will be getting by email. And right now I will ask the moderator of the forum to put the link in the chat. So I advise you to save this link in your browser right now so you don't lose it. And just to fill it in after the webinar so you don't forget about this. Don't you consider ZNO tasks to be too difficult? Yeah, actually, I was looking at the trial ZNO tasks, and it was interesting to read the comments of students who mentioned that they were difficult. Yeah, but I think there was also a comment that it usually happens this way, you know, that the trial tasks are more difficult than the tasks on the actual test. But I think we should aim high, you know, it's better to be more prepared than less prepared. So if you have time and opportunities, of course, try to aim high. Okay, any other questions? Thank you for your nice comments. I really tried to make this webinar practical for you, you know, and useful. Okay, and in this Google form that I ask you to complete, there will be a question like, what kind of webinars would you like to have in the future? So I would really appreciate if you could write down, you know, some topics that are interesting for you. For example, yeah, some of you are asking about writing tips, reading tips. I think this is such a broad topic, you know, it deserves a separate webinar. Okay, and now, as I promised, all of you who attended the webinar today are getting a special gift present from Libra Terra Publishing House, so a generous discount of 25% on the test on 2 categories. So you can look at the website, find these 2 categories, подготовка до ЗНО, профильні курси за вибором. You can see that the prices are pretty affordable, and plus this generous discount, I think, I mean, if you are interested in ordering something, I think I encourage you to do this. So pay attention, the promo code is ZNO, written in small letters, and this offer is valid until Monday. So don't hesitate, just look through the test books on this website. There you can find the fragments of the books, so you are welcome to try it. And with this, I think I will say thank you once again. I want to encourage you to stay, you know, keep your studies meaningful. Remember that really the exam is just a stepping stone, right? And we want our students to be successful, not only in tests, but in life. So stay well, stay healthy, and talk to you soon. Thank you very much.